And welcome back to another edition of SportZone. This is our final episode of the season. And of course, we're starting off with the good stuff, Studio 90. I'm joined here by Jessica. And I think today we'll focus on the Premier League, which has been the league with sort of the most competition at the top. Obviously, that race between Manchester City and Liverpool for the title. And a huge match yesterday to decide that title. Manchester United playing Manchester City. Liverpool fans wanting Manchester United to give them a favor, but they didn't end up doing that. Manchester City pretty handily winning this game 2-0. So, Jessica, is there anything about this game that really surprised you, or did it really go as everyone expected?
I think it really went as everyone expected. There were really no surprises. I think that City kind of had it in the bag going in. So.
Yeah, I mean, City have just been playing unbelievably well this season, especially the second half of the season. And I think you could really tell yesterday that Manchester City were the better team. They had better players. They have a better manager. And Manchester United were just completely outmatched. So, Jessica, I'll just ask you, what do Man United need to completely overhaul this roster next season if they want to compete for not only a title but even to get top four?
I definitely think so. I think there are a lot of changes that need to be made in order for them to kind of get back to where they were before. That like during like the Ferguson era, because I feel like right now they've kind of like lost what it really means to play for Manchester United.
I mean, totally agree with that. I mean, you saw yesterday some of those players really didn't even look like they were even trying out there. They had no creativity, nothing. So I think this summer you're looking at Manchester United spending almost $200 million over that to sort of overhaul this roster and bring in some world-class players. But other than that, Liverpool again winning, but Man City now they have the same amount of game plays. Man City have 1 point ahead of them. There are 3 games left. So, Jessica, do you see any chance of Liverpool winning and Man City dropping points, or do you just think Man City are going to win these next 3 games?
I definitely think Man City has a better chance of winning the next 3 games because they have easier teams to play. I mean, I don't think that Liverpool still has to play Chelsea, and I believe they still have to play Wolves, and Wolves has really come up against bigger teams in the Premier League this season. So I definitely think that Manchester City has the leg up to actually secure the league title.
Yeah, Manchester City obviously having a leg up, 1 point ahead, and like you said, they are playing easier competition. I think that last game for Liverpool against Wolves, I believe they're going to Wolves, is definitely going to be difficult. But other than the top 2, the top 4 are sort of still in discussion because there are you got Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man United, and 2 of those teams are going to make top 4. So out of those 4 teams, who do you think are going to be the 2 teams to make top 4? I know that's a tough question. None of these teams are playing well right now.
No, I mean, I think that's really up in the air still because, like you said, the teams aren't playing that well right now. And anything can really happen in the next couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, all these 4 teams are not playing well right now, and sort of any other year it'd kind of be decided. We would know at this point who's going to be top 4, but sort of these 4 teams not well. I think Tottenham are going to get top 4 just because they played well in the Champions League and they're playing well overall even without Harry Kane. But then for that 4th spot, I mean, you're looking at Chelsea, who haven't been that good this season. Have been up and down. Same with Arsenal. I don't think United are going to get it. I might go with Arsenal, but I'm still not sure. But I'll just end it with this overall for this Premier League season. What do you think has been the biggest storyline?
I definitely think just Manchester United's debacle this season has been a very big thing that's been talked about. They had that manager change. People thought things were looking up, then they weren't anymore, so.
Yeah, I mean, Solskjaer, he came in, they started winning games, but you're just making me upset now. Solskjaer coming in, you think they would go on a run. They signed him to a permanent contract, a 2-year deal. And then since he signed that permanent contract, it just seems everything has gone to shambles. But, I don't really want to think too much about that. It's our last episode. I want to keep it positive. So I'll end it there. And that's it for Studio 90 and more SportZone after this. And welcome back to SportZone. This is Throwing It Up. I'm joined here by Cam, and a lot of NBA action to talk about, but we'll start off with what everyone was talking about, the Trailblazers beating the Thunder in 5 games, and of course Damian Lillard dropping 50 points, hitting that game-winning shot from the logo. So Cam, did anything about that game surprise you? What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, I guess what you have to point out first off is that Dame showed that he could step up in a big situation. Like, he's shown that before in games, but this was really important because he came out before the game. It was told that he had dinner before the game and was telling everybody, I want to end it here. I don't want to go back to OKC at their home court. I want to end it here. And then CJ McCollum early in the game gets into foul trouble. So a lot of the load's left on Dame because, those are the two main scorers. And with Cantor, he actually came out after the game and said he dislocated his shoulder and he had to go on the bench and get injected with some pain numbing stuff so he could finish the game. He was in a sling after the game. So you have two huge parts of that team going forward in the playoffs and in this series going down early in that game, leaving Dame to play the entire first half. And just being able to see that he could, maintain that proficiency in scoring with the minutes he had to play, and then still having energy at the end to launch that shot. Well, it wasn't even a launch. Clearly he calculated in that head already. He's like, I know it's going to go in, so series over. Bye-bye.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Damian Lillard just an absolute stone-cold killer at the end of the game there with that shot. And we'll talk about the Thunder for a little bit because it looked like they were playing well in that game. They were up by 12 points, I believe, with 8 minutes left in the game. And
they're making a run, yeah.
Yeah, they just seem to crumble. And, of course, that duo of Russell Westbrook and Paul George doesn't seem like they're getting much help out there. So what do you think about this Thunder team going forward? Are they bound to just be a team that makes the playoffs and gets knocked out in the first round? What changes do they need to make?
No, I definitely think it sheds some light on what people were saying last year when they're saying, the reason the Thunder got knocked out in the first round was because of Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony was taking too many shots away from George and too many driving opportunities for Westbrook. I think what this shows is that maybe these two players, they might be superstars in their own right, but they're not enough to propel a team past the first round, at least of what we've seen. And whether a lot of the media are going immediately after Westbrook saying he's the main reason it's not working, another superstar with Paul George should be able to make it farther. But I don't know, it could just be the example of, there's even in superstars, there's tiers. And maybe these are two mid-tier guys who there's no over-the-top player on that team who can really propel a team past the regular season.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
raises a lot of questions for the roster going into next season.
Yeah, definitely questions raised about Westbrook and his leadership abilities and stuff. But I just think they need to surround these guys with shooters because I think they needed three-point shooters out there that they didn't have. So, but definitely the Trailblazers going forward are going to be an interesting team to watch and definitely could be a team to make a run to the conference finals and maybe even the NBA finals. But
dude, it's the dream.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But another series ending yesterday, the Rockets beating the Jazz at home in Game 5. So, Cam, there's been a lot of talk about the Rockets this season. They started off the season slow. They picked it up in the second half. James Harden having a historic season. They're most likely going to play the Warriors in the next round, although
Clippers are making it.
Clippers are making it tough, but
it's still heavily in favor of the Warriors.
Right.
But the fact that Clippers still 2 games from them, and the Warriors at one point had a 3-1 lead.
That is true.
You don't know what's going to happen.
But if that matchup did come to fruition, Rockets-Warriors, do you think the Rockets would have a chance to come out victorious in that series?
Well, I think James Harden came out in an interview and said that he wanted to face the Warriors earlier. And I think, well, he might have been kind of saying it to say, like, oh, we're not afraid of them. Another thing that it says is that I want to face them while we're still healthy. Because what we saw a lot in last year's playoffs was Chris Paul was injured. Capella, that kind of came into next season in that finger issue. But the Rockets' biggest weakness is that if they get hurt, their shooting goes away. And that's what ultimately I think led to them having that crazy streak of like 0 for 27 in a game against the Warriors last postseason at three-pointers. Is because once those like key guys are out, that team really does fall apart. They're very top-heavy. So the Rockets, I think that they definitely could make a run. They're one of the best shooting teams, arguably the second best shooting team in basketball behind the Warriors. But yeah, it definitely, I think it really depends on can they stay healthy in a series with the Warriors.
Definitely.
And it definitely helps by them ending the series earlier than the Warriors, giving them more rest.
Definitely, and I mean, we saw last year the Rockets probably, arguably would have won that series if not for Chris Paul getting injured, and definitely injuries is the big thing with this team. But I think if they're making their shots and if they're, playing that fast-paced basketball, it's going to be tough for the Warriors to stop.
As long as Harden gets those calls.
Yeah, that is true. But we'll also talk about that Warriors matchup because this series isn't over. The Clippers winning in Golden State. The Clippers, last year they trade Blake Griffin. This year they trade Tobias Harris. But even though they're trading these stars, they keep getting better and better. So Do you think there's possibly a chance, they're going back to the Staples Center for Game 6, that they can force in Game 7, even maybe shock the world and win this series?
I wouldn't go that crazy. I think the Warriors are really just kind of adjusting. Adjusting is like a rough word to use because, still 4 superstars, but I do think they were really looking to go into the series with that lineup of having Cousins as that, that post presence who can also stretch the floor. So I think they are kind of having some growing pains adjusting to the fact that, we can't kick it to everybody to get a bucket. Bogut does more defense. Looney isn't DeMarcus Cousins. So I think the Warriors are having trouble adjusting to that. And at the same time, the Clippers you want to win just because there's no all-star on that roster. They're just so much fun to watch. And their best players coming off the bench and dropping almost a guaranteed 30 per game, at least in the postseason. So they're definitely a fun team to watch, but I don't think that I don't know if they have the, they're definitely deep as a team, but I don't think they have that kind of star power because of all the Warriors can go off at once. We saw that last night. Kevin Durant went off for 45 points. If at least 2 of them can manage that, say Steph gets 30, KD gets 30, maybe Clay gets 15, 20, I don't know how you can match that offense.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think the Warriors are obviously favorites in this series, but the way the Clippers have played not only in this playoffs, but this entire season has been a surprise. And with them going into the summer, a lot of cap space, a lot of superstars.
They definitely look like a great destination.
They look like in Los Angeles. Obviously they're a better destination than the Lakers, and I think that a guy like Kawhi Leonard, depending on what he does with the Raptors this season, we could see him in the Clippers uniform next season. Definitely, but I think that's all we have for Throwing It Up, and more SportZone after this.
Hello and welcome back to your favorite segment on SportZone, Game to Third. I'm Camden, joined here with Lucas, and this will be our last MLB segment for the year, so we got to go at least 1 hour. So Lucas, let's start with there's been a lot of tension in the Phillies-Mets series that just happened. Pitchers throwing at each other, pitchers throwing at batters on both sides, and capped off with Rhys Hoskins taking the longest recorded home run trot in StatCast history, slower than Bartolo Colon's record of, I believe, 30.2 seconds. What are your thoughts on that?
It's just disrespectful. If you saw that home run, as soon as it hit his bat, you knew that thing was gone. So, rightfully so, it took him a long time to go around the bases. It was big, but he was kind of gloating. It's April. If this was and that's
after they got smacked the other day.
Yeah.
The day before.
If they were deciding,
the
division,
number.
This was the wild card game. Mm-hmm. This was Game 7 of the World Series. You could do that, but right now it just seems unnecessary. Rhys Hoskins is having a good year. But, that there's nothing called for that. There's not even that much beef between, the Mets and the Phillies historically. That's much more of a newer thing. Yeah, they're in the same division, but, they haven't really had that sort of, tension between them. So it's interesting to see how the MLB reacts to, weird stuff like this going on in April.
No, they interviewed the pitcher, actually, who I believe they had some tension from the prior game because, they were up. Mets were up by a crooked number. Game looked pretty cut and dry. And he threw 2 pitches just, looking at Emil Reese's head around the 8th inning.
Sometimes the ball, doesn't slide and you just throw it as
That's
hard
what
as
they
you
like
can.
to say.
Yeah.
But when they interviewed him about it, he was talking about, he hit the ball. He got one off me. He earns the right to, take his trot, do his thing. Do you think that pitchers take it differently between, take a long time around the bases rather than, because he didn't really go for a bat flip or anything. He kind of just tossed it off the side, and then he just took a very slow trot.
I think what Tim Anderson did the other day was more disrespectful. When he grabs the bat by the horn and just throws it as hard as he can.
Well, his argument was he was just getting into the dugout, so the bat boy didn't have to get it. So maybe it was just being considerate,
On the same lines as, the slider didn't, fully slide.
Yeah,
same
argument.
All that. But yeah.
All right, let's turn over. So the Yankees just got another heartbreaking report with Clint Frazier going down with an injury. He's on the 10-day IL. The Yankees can't seem to catch a break. Do you feel sorry for them? A lot of people are just thinking, the Yankees had this coming.
No, you can't. You always feel bad when someone gets injured because you don't want to get injured yourself. But what I would say is, do I feel bad for the Yankees? No. Because, when you take away, maybe 1 or 2 players, there's still 30 other players who can hit 30 home runs. Mm-hmm. They got a lot of power there. And they've got a lot of championships. So, I don't think – if there's a team that, never won a championship before and that kind of, derailed their season, I'd be like, okay, maybe like if the Mariners or someone like that had an injury like this, I'd be like, you know what, I feel bad for Camden. But with the Yankees especially, like, don't really feel bad for them at this point.
No, honestly, I have to say, like, a lot of the rookies they're bringing up, like, they made a joke early on because it was like, I think it was like the anniversary of Gleyber Torres being called up from, I believe the AAA team's called the Rough Riders.
Yeah.
Being called up from the Rough Riders to join the Yankee roster. And now at the anniversary this season, there's more players like he's playing with that were on the Rough Riders roster last season than the starting Yankees lineup he came up to.
Yeah.
So it's funny to joke at, but like the rookies they're bringing up are not doing bad.
They're
Wade's playing pretty well. There's Talkman has been raking. Clint Frazier's been playing like up to his
Camden,
top prospect level.
I'm going to be honest with you. Half these names I've never heard of in my life.
Exactly.
Yeah,
These are AAA players that you don't think they were, except for maybe Frazier because he was a top prospect.
Well, absolutely.
They weren't thinking of calling up for a while.
Unless my name is Dan Orlick or if my name's Ryan Siegel. Some of these names are just going straight over my head. So.
But I just think it goes to show that like while they're having a lot of injuries to the people they're paying the big bucks to play for their team, they have a lot of. It looks like they have a deep farm system for what they're showing with.
They've had this deep farm system, and it seems like what is the saying? The rich always get richer. So.
Yeah. So let's turn over to. Would you like to talk about your Cubs a little bit?
Cubs. No, they're turning it around. I'm gonna feature it. Maybe a little bit later in thumbs, but 1-8 start turned that into a 12-10 start.
Well, what do you think has changed with the Cubs? Do you think it was just a little rust from being, in the off season?
It was the pitching. If you look at the pitching those first few games, our hitters weren't producing and our pitchers weren't, hitting the zone. But now you see people like Cole Hamill he's getting in there. Hendricks is getting back to his really good form. John Lester's been a little injured, but he started off really well. So it's good to see them all getting back together. Our bats are, they're starting to come around. But yeah, on the contrary, how are your Mariners looking right now?
I feel like the honeymoon has ended. That's what it feels like. They were playing so well against, I really was hyping them up against teams that, they're playing the Royals, the White Sox. They're not playing good teams, but they were putting up crooked numbers against these teams.
Absolutely.
Which is what I was looking at. But, you saw this a little bit last season. The Mariners, they have this weird tendency to, score a lot of runs against bad teams, but can't score any runs against better pitching.
I feel like there's a reason for that.
I think
maybe they're just not that good.
I think that's enough for this. We'll see you next season. That's it for Getting to Third, this Sports Zone. I'm Camden. This is Lucas. We'll see you in thumbs.
Welcome back to SportZone. This is Ice Time, where we break down all of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm Ryan Siegel. We are now entering round 2 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it is a round of firsts. The first time in the NHL history that both top seeds from each conference eliminated. It is the first time in NHL history where every divisional number 1 seed eliminated. We're going to tell you how in just a moment. First off, we're going to start with the Metropolitan Division. The New York Islanders will be taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina beating the defending champion Washington Capitals in double overtime last night. A great goal by Brock McGinn after a great defensive play in the third period by McGinn. McGinn able to beat Tom Wilson to the back door off a great pass from none other than Mr. Game 7 himself, Justin Williams. They will be taking on the New York Islanders. Barry Trotz, former Capitals coach, now at the bench in the team that's playing in the, where are they playing? I don't know, the Coliseum, the Barclays Center. They could be in either one. Who knows? I believe they are playing round 2 in Brooklyn, so they will be in the Barclays Center for round 2 of the playoffs. Game 1 will be actually in the Barclays Center on Friday evening. Should be a very interesting series. Definitely one that nobody expected. Many people were kind of foreseeing a Capitals versus Trotz second round, but not to be. Going up north, the Boston Bruins are taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Another series nobody really expected to see. Boston, everybody kind of expected to be there, but they were expected to play Tampa Bay. Columbus going out and, again, as we've mentioned on the show in the past, dominating Tampa Bay start to finish. a 4-game sweep. Boston obviously coming off of an emotional Game 7 win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, Boston 6 straight series wins against the Toronto Maple Leafs, the longest streak in the NHL. Toronto needs to seriously figure out what is going on with their team in the offseason, but Boston will be moving on once again. And personally, I think they are probably the favorite now in the Eastern Conference, but as I say that, they're going to find a way to lose to Columbus. So swinging out west, the San Jose Sharks winning in controversial fashion, taking on the Colorado Avalanche. San Jose will have Game 1 in San Jose on Friday evening. Again, a lot of controversy around San Jose's win against Las Vegas. Joe Pavelski drawing a 5-minute major in game misconduct against Cody Eakin, the Vegas Golden Knights. The San Jose Sharks power play able to convert 3 times in that 5-minute span, tying the game, and then eventually adding a 4th. Vegas coming back, tying the game, and then the Sharks winning again with Goodrow around Fleury. But they will be taking on a very good Colorado team who handled Nashville pretty easily and pretty handedly in 6 games. Should be a very interesting series to watch. And then finishing up with the Central Division matchup, the Dallas Stars will be taking on the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis, the hottest team in the NHL coming into the playoffs. They will be hosting a Dallas team that, again, took Nashville pretty much to the breaking point. Nashville also picking up a key win, Dallas, picking up some key wins and key performances from key players such as Jamie Benn, Alexander Radulov, and Tyler Seguin. And now 4 wins away from Dallas making the conference finals, their first since 1999. But St. Louis will be a very formidable foe in that second round. But anyway, that's all the time we have for this segment of Ice Time. More Sports Zone after this.
Hello and welcome back to Hot Seat. This is Camden, joined here with Ryan and Aaron. And today we'll be tackling an age-old rule in soccer, which is at the end of the regular season, if tied in points, it is decided by a goal differential rather than an additional championship game. And I'm going to start with Ryan. What's how you take it?
I mean, you sit there, you have to play another game. There's no physical way. You are telling me that if you tie in points, that let's say both teams, Liverpool and Man City in the Premier League, 89 points each, that just because Man City happened to play, and score a couple more goals, that they get to be the champion?
Okay, wait, time out. Look, I understand you have a very American sports way of thinking, right? There needs to be a playoffs and there needs to be a championship game. That's not how it's done in Europe, okay? If you look at the entire season,
why not?
Deciding in our one game is not fair. The goal differential is perfect. It shows how dominant a team is. Man City has been more dominant this season than Liverpool, and that's why they have a bigger goal differential.
But if you win the same amount of games, it doesn't matter.
But
it doesn't. You don't just because you beat Manchester United 3-0 and I beat them 1-0. You still beat them. A win is a win.
But for example, let's say the last 3 games of the season, Liverpool playing better, Man City may have some injuries, and it's all decided on that one game just because another team has better form. Liverpool are going to win that game. It should be decided based on the whole season, top to bottom. That's what's good about goal differential, because it shows how good a team is the entire season. Because they each play the same opponents, so showing how many goals they score, how big they beat the team.
Goal differential is basically like saying, oh, you know what? You won on a technicality. You won on a coin toss.
And you know what? Without goal differential, once a team goes up 2 or 3-0, they're going to stop trying. It's going to take away the entertainment value of the games.
Most of the time, there's only 2 or 3 goals in a game anyway.
That's
what
not
entertainment
true. Man
is
City
there?
have won 5 and 6-0 many, many times. And if there was no goal differential, the games would not be exciting because the teams would stop trying. They would take out their best players.
They're winning games 5-6-0, and they're still tied with another team in point. If they finish tied with Liverpool,
that shows they're more dominant. That doesn't matter.
That's not a dominant
Gentlemen.
thing. Just because they beat a bad team.
It shows the
Gentlemen. One more state.
No way.
No.
You need to play this. Why
They're
don't
playing the
Gentlemen.
same
Why don't
team.
they play Liverpool one more time to see
Because it's not the way it's done.
That's how it should
One more.
be done.
No,
One more statement each. Aaron.
Goal differential is the way to go because it shows how dominant a team is from game 1 to game 38, not based on injuries, not based on form, how dominant a team is.
But a team has injuries
Let him
from
finish.
game 1
Let
to
him finish,
38.
Ryan. Now's your
A
time.
team has injuries from game 1 to 38 without question anyway. You can make that argument, oh yeah, just because they have an injury in April doesn't mean that they're not going to have those injuries throughout the season.
Yeah, but
Dude,
then it's all
1
about
through
the
thir-
last few games. of
That's
the
what it
season.
should be about.
No, it's not.
We're gonna have to
It doesn't
stop it
always
here.
have to be like
This
that.
is Hot Seat this week. We'll see you next time on SportZone. We'll settle this in thumbs.
And welcome back to SportZone. This is our favorite segment, Thumbles, where we give a thumbs up and thumbs down to things in the world of sports and the world at large. Thumbs up to a great week of sports action. A lot of great basketball, NBA playoffs. Obviously, Damian Lillard dropping 50 points, hitting that cold-blooded game-winning shot, which was just unbelievable. And a lot of other good basketball games. And also some very good soccer games. Not maybe the Manchester United game because they got crushed, but some other pretty good games. But I'll mostly talk about, because this is the last episode for Ryan and Jessica, who are graduating. And I've been at SportZone for, 2 years now, 2.5 years. That's crazy, something like that. And they've always been great. They've always come to filming with great energy, and I learned a lot from them, and I'll definitely miss them. But I know I'll see them, and hopefully they do well past graduation and everything, and I know they will. So hats off to you guys, and I'll throw it over to Jessica.
So I'm going to give a thumbs up to SportZone. This is my last show, which is really weird because I've been doing this since I was like a freshman, second semester. So like that's just really strange to me that this is over now. But I'm going to give a thumbs up to everyone here. Like, I think everyone does a really great job every time they come in. Like, and the people who are going to stay here, like Lucas, Noah, Cam, Aaron, I think you guys are going to do great things like next semester with SportZone. Like you guys have already like adding Hot Seat and all of that. It's been great. And yeah, so a thumbs up to SportZone, a thumbs up to everyone here. I'm going to give a thumbs down to Real Madrid because they suck this season, but you know, it's okay. So here's Cam.
I want to start by also thanking Ryan and Jessica for letting us into the SportZone family. I'll try to do my best next year. If it crashes and burns, I'll be sure to let you know. But now, and thanks to everybody else, Lucas especially, for introducing me to SportZone, bringing me in, showing me what it's all about. Let me go in front of a camera to argue about sports instead of just bringing it up in front of you why the Mariners are so underrated. Speaking of that, let's start with a thumbs down for the Mariners. They really have hit earth. They've hit reality hard. They're losing to the Padres. They've really fallen apart. I'll still watch them the rest of the season, but yeah, I'm really being emotional with their season so far. But I really do think that this is where they usually end up. They have a hot start and then just kind of mellow out, and that's basically how it goes. But at least we have the Trailblazers. Thumbs up to Dame, especially for his tweets after the game, after Westbrook and Paul George were complaining about, oh, it's a bad shot, and we're being all moody about it. Tweeting back to Paul George's comments in the press conference with a nice LOL, and then tweeting a snapshot of from The Art of War at Westbrook, saying like the hot-headed always fails in the end. It's the calm, composed warrior that wins. My clocks will be constantly turned to Dame time for the rest of the playoffs. But that'll be it for me this week. I'm gonna throw it off to Lucas. Oh wait, hot seat. Get out of here. For hot seat, I'm going to have to give it to Ryan. No bias for American sports or the fact that it's his last show, going out undefeated. But I do think he made a good argument in stating what I was thinking the whole time. Injuries happen throughout the season, so it doesn't just matter in a championship game that it can affect your goal differential throughout the season if you have a key player out for a key portion of the season against some better teams. But congratulations, Ryan, for retiring. I don't even know what your record is, but I know you're up there with the greats. All right, now actually to Lucas.
All right, so I'm going to start off by giving a big thumbs down to Cam for changing his watch time to Dame time. That's really, really corny. So yeah, I'm gonna get a little sentimental here, like everyone else is. I'm gonna give big thumbs up to Jessica and Ryan. Jessica, best soccer analyst out there. Sorry, Aaron. But we're gonna definitely miss Jessica. I know she's got big things in her future. And also a big thumbs up to Ryan, the producer of the show. He's leaving his legacy with SportZone. He's the best director I've ever worked under. And I really wish big things for him, with the U.S. Hockey Association or whatever, junior hockey, road hockey, whatever he does. But I do wish him best of luck, undefeated, Floyd Mayweather-esque in the hot seat arena. So again, big thumbs up to our graduating seniors. If it weren't for them, none of this would be possible. So, again, wish them best of luck in the future. I'm going to give a big thumbs up to Dan Roth. He's not here this semester, but, he was one of the original people who helped me, come into here. So I'm going to give a big thumbs up to Dan Roth. Hope you're doing all right, buddy. Give a big thumbs up to Aaron, too. Aaron, he did great this year, great this semester. Second best soccer analyst on the SportZone right now. Maybe third. I'm going to put Dan Roth above him, too. So third best. He's taking home the bronze, Bronze medal. He's still on the podium. So, big thumbs up to Aaron. I'm going to give a thumbs down to Cam and Noah because, they're my friends, so I got to see them fail. I'm going to give a big thumbs up to the Cubs right now. Switching up. Big thumbs up to the Cubs. We started off 1-8, and now we're 12-10. Definitely a big turnaround there. Second hottest team in the NL Central, behind that weird team from St. Louis. Big thumbs up to the NFL draft around the corner. Can't wait to see the Bears draft third round, not third overall. But definitely thumbs up. NFL is coming back bigger and better than ever. And I'm going to finish off by giving a big thumbs up to Zion Williamson. I think he's going to do great in the NHL with Ryan. So that's all I have today. I'm proud to introduce the unspoken reigning MVP and director excelsior, Ryan Siegel.
Well, I'm going to have to say that's a tough act to follow, to say the least. But I want a thumbs up. I'm getting things thrown at me now. All right, that's going to be what that's going to be. Thumbs up to SportZone. I've been here for 4 years. Pretty much since I came onto campus, I've been with the show. Weird now to see it's over. Gonna be honest, doesn't feel like it. Feels like I'm gonna be saying tune in next week, but not. It's been a great year. I'm glad to know that sports be a part of it. I was glad to have guys like Deepak Bhagat, Dan Lignato, Kristen Bravo, Vince Salandro have me along as long as they did, which is always good. So shout out to them. Oh, Cody Cohen. I mean, I couldn't not shout out my time at SportZone if I didn't shout out Cody Lewis Cohen. Let me make sure I get that right because he'll torch me online if I don't. Thumbs up to Jessica. We've been doing this for a long time, and I appreciate all the work you've done with the show this year. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate all the hard work you've put in. Thumbs up to Aaron, Cam, Lucas, Noah, all the crew who I normally shout out at the end of the show. The show wouldn't be, you guys say it's not without me. It's truly without you guys. I don't know soccer. I don't know basketball. I barely know baseball. So you guys showing up and actually breaking it down provides a lot, makes my job a lot easier, and it makes my job a lot more enjoyable to come to ATV every day and watch you guys work. You guys are going to be moving on to bigger and brighter pastures when you graduate here. I have the utmost confidence in you guys. Thumbs up to Cam taking over. You're going to be just fine. Trust me. I thought the same thing when Kristen asked me if I wanted to do it. You're going to be just fine, buddy. I have my full utmost confidence in you. But with that, I mean, we also got to get the order of operations out of the way. Thumbs up to the weather. It's beautiful outside. Thumbs down to Jake Elmsley because he sucks. So we got those two. Again, Lucas, thumbs down. Another bad Zion reference. Another one. Dude, I thought we got over this last week when you said he was going to get drafted by the Chicago Bears. Obviously not. Now you're saying he's going to be in the NHL. There is no way a 6'10", man is going to be playing in the National Hockey League anytime soon, unless he is from Eastern Europe. Shout out Zdeno Chara. But Zion will do a great job in the NBA, hopefully with the New York Knicks, but again, doubtful. The Knicks don't know how to draft people. They're losing franchise. I want to also thumbs up the NFL. It's the NFL draft tonight, so the minute I leave this show, I will be putting on the movie Draft Day to get in the zone. And then I will be eating, and then I'll be watching the NFL draft tonight. Now that the Washington Capitals are out of the Stanley Cup playoffs, I don't have any reason to watch hockey. I probably still will watch it every night because that's just who I am, but no more financial investment. Thumbs down to the Washington Capitals, speaking of that. You played terribly in Game 7 in your own building. That was embarrassing. Stanley Cup champions, yeah, sure played like it. Everybody thought we're going to play the Islanders, we're going to play Barry Trotz, it's going to be old coach, old team. Nope. We lose to Carolina in 7, but thumbs up to Carolina. The Hurricanes, great series, played unbelievably against the defending Stanley Cup champions, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they do the rest of the way. It should be a very interesting playoffs going forward, so I'm interested in that. Thumbs down to Cam, Dame time. What is that? Yes, was that an unreal shot? Yes. But the fact that you also then said Dame like 9 times and throwing it up today, yeah, I know. I know what time it is. And I still don't care about basketball time. But with that, also, I want to thumbs up my hot seat record. Aaron, I know he's upset that he lost this week, but I do want to say, Aaron, there truly is no bias considering I screwed Cam out of a win last week. So you can truly tell because I was thinking like Cam's going to say, you know what, Ryan's last show, he's getting his first loss. Nope. I will go undefeated, 5-0, raise the jersey to the rafters. I'm batting 1,000 in hot seat. That's already a great start. I know we just started the segment, but batting 1,000 going off in retirement. Maybe if I'm ever back in the District of Columbia, I'll come back on and take care of business, keep my title going. But with that, that is it for this year of SportZone. It has been a great year all the way around. So for Noah, who's not here, Jessica, Lucas, Aaron, Cam, I'm Ryan saying thanks for watching SportZone this year. Tune in next year.